Hello, and welcome to Knitting for Kittens, the series in which I knit tiny things for tiny kittens. We still have some shy and spicy kittens, so hats and clothes are off the table, but collars are just fine. This week, I'm knitting a flower collar. For colors, I found a small ball of Universal Yarns Classic Shades Frenzy in Attic Light, one of my favorite yarns. It inspired the whole color palette. It was rather unfortunately discontinued. Now, I have never knit flowers before, mostly because I knew it would require a lot of tiny pieces, taking a lot of time. I was not wrong in this assumption, but hopefully this will be worth it. So, the simplest flower to knit is a rosette. I cast on 25 stitches and knit a stockinette strip. I then rolled it up and sewed it together. I made 5. One in each color. For the other flowers, I really had to put my thinking cap on. I came up with this simple flower, the shape of which reminds me of violets. I cast on 5 stitches for 5 petals, and then kind of made up petals as I went. I started off knitting 2 stitches into the first stitch in a similar fashion to the picot bind-off. I then stockinetted for a bit and cast off. Then, in a way reminiscent of crochet, I went through the stitches down the side to the petal and started all over again. Once I had petals, I thread the yarn through the middle stitches to pull it all together. I felt very lucky that they turned out a pretty decent flower shape, and again made one in each color. At this point, I thought maybe 10 flowers was all I needed to make a collar, and tied the flowers together in an incredibly lazy fashion, just to see if it would work. Bellamy so graciously offered to help and even allowed me to try this simplest form on him. Of course, my perfectionist tendencies told me this was not acceptable. So I thought I would just make a green ribbed collar in a similar fashion to the bow tie to attach the flowers upon. I was quite surprised that Bellamy was so interested in my knitting and not jumping away because my movement scared him. I eventually was able to pet him after letting him get comfortable, and he very much enjoyed it. I then finished the collar and was ready to attach the flowers. Now, with 10 flowers, you'd think that maybe this collar was good enough for a video. I'm already 2 days in. That was a lot of work. But, of course, you'd be wrong. I then spent 3 more days making up and attaching tiny leaves and little star flowers to fill out the collar, again with completely improvised patterns. I also added little pistils to the violets. This collar was now made up of 21 separate pieces. Was it worth it? I sure hope so. Side note, I thought it made such a cute bracelet, but I know, you want to see it on kittens. Ta-da! This time, Clark and Bellamy were kind enough to model for me without freaking out, but I was not going to risk breaking any trust that Octavia had afforded me. Let me know what you think. What else can I spend 15 hours on for kitten wear? I'd like to know your most elaborate ideas. Just don't expect me to make it anytime soon. And with all that work, I was going to use this darn thing as much as possible. So please enjoy it as a flower crown on Big Cats, Deke, and Rory. Thank you for joining me. Like and follow for more Knitting for Kittens. I hope you have a wonderful day.